After two more experimental stories, The Stones of Blood is a much more traditional story for Doctor Who. It's set on Earth, which is very rare for this era, and it's more of a traditional folk horror story, at least to start with. You can definitely imagine Jon Pertwee doing something similar. It's not entirely successful, but it does a lot of interesting things and keeps the season feeling well above average. They start by recapping the overarching season story for the benefit of anyone who may have missed an episode. Then it's straight onto the action of druids feeding blood to stones. The druids initially seem like the villains of the piece, but the fact that they're just a rather bland, middle-class couple called Leonard and Martha stops them from seeming particularly menacing. They're more like neighbours in a sitcom. Instead, the villain is Vivian Fay, played with relish by Susan Engel. She gives a wonderfully arched performance, especially in the first half, where she has to maintain a veneer of politeness and amiability. It's not hard to guess that she's really the Kaliak, especially as there aren't any other characters who it could be. Once revealed, her true form is rather striking, covered in silver body paint, although there seems to be a lot less of it once she returns to Earth. But then she is still wearing her shape-changing pendant, so who knows what's real. The other major guest star is Beatrix Lehman, as the very eccentric Amelia Rumford, who is still very active for her age and enjoys sausage sandwiches and truncheons for some reason. She is absolutely the best thing about the story, and her relationship with Tom Baker is delightful to watch, as he is forced to be the straight man for a change. She also has a lot of scenes with K9, and it's entirely possible that this story could have been an inspiration for K9 and Company a few years later, which also had K9 investigating occult goings-on in the English countryside. But I'll get to that in due time. The atmosphere of horror is somewhat undermined when it becomes clear that the monsters are basically just walking paths of rock. It's quite hard to take them seriously, especially when they start chasing the Doctor around on their non-existent legs. Having said that, the scene where they kill the two campers is generally unnerving. The woman's hand sticking to the rock and then turning into bone is the stuff of nightmares, and would not have been out of place in any 70s horror movie. The final two episodes take a turn into sci-fi, as the action moves to a ship in hyperspace. It looks decent enough, but then the Megara show up. Even sillier than the Ogre, they're just a bunch of twinkling lights, with the voices of doddery old men. It's like the Vardens from the Invasion of Time all over again, but even cheaper. But I suppose these aren't really meant to be a serious threat. There is also a long and tedious trial scene, which doesn't help, and the scenes on Earth are always far more interesting. Oh no, it's the Megara! What shall I do? What the Doctor did. I just run away. The DVD has more than an hour of special features. The usual Talking Heads making of is 26 minutes long, and has the director explaining why he opted to shoot all the location scenes on videotape, even though it looks really cheap compared to film. There is a 13-minute featurette comparing various Doctor Who stories to the Hammer horror films that they may or may not have been based on. Mary Tamm goes back to the Stones for a 9-minute feature, where she talks to a few experts about their history and the legends surrounding them. And she's a very engaging presenter, so it's interesting stuff. There's a clip from Blue Peter celebrating the 15th anniversary of the show, with some rare clips, including one from the Daleks' Master Plan and Hartnell's Regeneration. But the highlight is definitely the clip from Nationwide, as Frank Boff interviews Tom Baker, who clearly has absolutely no respect for him at all, which is even funnier if you know about Frank Boff's private life. And you can imagine that Baker may have heard the rumours. Overall, the first half is by far the best, but the memorable characters and interesting developments do keep it well above average, so I'll give it a 6. Next week, The Android of Tara, which I seem to remember was also pretty good. As ever, check out the playlist in the description for all my Doctor Who reviews up to this point, and I'll see you next time.